of the entire Root Gaming Warzone tournament. It is time for the third, fourth place match between DIMAGA and Taurent. White Raw against Sen will be the grand final. Honestly, couldn't think of two better players because they are just the greatest. I mean, even we have White Raw participating in the SC Reddit finals against Maro. White Raw has been tearing it up. So he has two major tournaments for which he is only playing PvZ. Both of those finals will be on Sunday. Definitely stay tuned for those. But for today, we're going to be watching DIMAGA, excuse me, against Taurent. Still haven't quite recovered from my disease, but we shall progress forward. Once again, this is the Root Gaming Warzone Tournament, sponsored by DreamHost, who put up $3,500 in prizes, $2,000 first, $1,000 second, and $500 on the line for this third place. So this best 05 definitely going to be a little bit of a tight competition. So let's go into game one and see what happens. We do have Taurent spawning in the left position as the orange Protoss. In the bottom position, we do see DIMAGA from MTW spawning as the red Zerg. Already, DIMAGA is going to be somewhat content because they are cross-map positions, but as we saw in DIMAGA against White Raw, DIMAGA did have a little bit of trouble in these spots, not quite knowing when he needed to make a bunch of roaches for defense or when he needed to expand. In other words, DIMAGA's third base timing was a little bit off, and that came back to bite him. Definitely want to be seeing a touch of an improvement of his play here against Taurent. Taurent has been favoring some kind of funkier one-basing builds, doing some more Void Ray Edge, a little bit more early aggression than White Raw. DIMAGA, I do think, will be a little bit more stable against that style of play. It's generally the late game that he will have issues with. But also Taurent seemed to just have a real big mess of a trouble against the mid-game roaches of Sen. So now it looks like Taurent is aware of the fact that these overlords are coming from the south position, but looks like he's just going to send this probe a little bit late. Did he not see? This probe's kind of hugging at an odd angle, so we'll see what he ends up doing. I mean, by now, Taurent should be incredibly aware that the Zerg is in the south position. There he is, scouting directly south. Now, DIMAGA has been favoring going gas, then pool, every game, every map, except Scrap Station. Doesn't really look like he is much of the third or the hatch firsting player. He is now trying to, almost managed to sneak by. Will he get it down? No, he gets blocked. That was actually an amazing play by DIMAGA. He keeps it right on the top of the ramp. The instant the probe sees it, the drone is ideally trying to dart right by. That is a terrible loss for DIMAGA. His plan was totally thrown off. This is exactly why DIMAGA likes to go gas pool, get the speed first. It is impossible to really mess with in a severe way. This, though, is getting messed with in a very, very annoying fashion. Now, DIMAGA is going to try to do as much damage to take down this pylon as fast as possible. Already at half health with those 3 drones nibbling away. 1 armor on that will keep it alive a little bit longer. 4th drone coming down. DIMAGA is adamant about expanding ASAP. His pool is not done. His gas is just now finished. This is really the only thing that he can really end up doing. Another pylon goes down. That one pylon that was taken down does mean that Taurent is getting a little bit delayed with his build. Having to build extra pylons, no zealot can get produced, no second gas coming up quite yet. So it does look like that pylon, wow, at half health again, and it looks like, DIMAGA has to be careful. He has 1 drone at 9 health. He's going to try to control that one properly. But we do see that the pool is now finished. Queen on route. And honestly, I'm not quite sure who comes out ahead in this case. Generally, you don't see someone losing 2 pylons this early on. Oh, some nice little dancing. Look at the health on all those units. Some very, very cool little micromanagement going on. And that 1 pylon will eventually fall. See you later, probe. See you later, pylon. And the expansion finally is going down for DIMAGA. We do see DIMAGA leaving 1 guy in his gas geyser as he is getting the Zergling speed. In Taurent's base, no second gas has been taken yet. Ordinarily, Protosses do like to do that. Stalker coming up, but that is a delayed Stalker. That pylon block at the expansion severely delays any plan that Protoss has. It does look like Taurent is going for the 1 gas, 3 gate expand style. Chrono boosting that warp gate. Again, that warp gate is also delayed. I'm going to keep saying delay, delay, delay because all Zergs seem to ever focus on is the fact that, hey, my hatch didn't go down on time. Well, nothing is going down on time for Protoss, so it's really not as bad as it might feel. Because remember, StarCraft is all about feelings. Does look like the second queen for DIMAGA is now popping out. Has 2 queens on the field. Has a couple of these Zerglings poking around. Still no speed, so can't do things like deal with these Stalkers quite well. There are more Zerglings coming out right now. The hatch of the expansion is almost done. We see there's the expansion going down for Taurent himself. Now it looks like he's nearly done with Warp Gate. Gosh, that's such a late Warp Gate. Can't even do anything with those quite yet. We have the Scouting Stalker managing to march its way directly into DIMAGA's main, and that's a pretty key piece of information. Second Geyser, Roach Warren, no lair at all. DIMAGA not missing a beat with that Larva Vomiting, trying to get that second queen up, and the Stalker is going to get taken down. Again, one of those reasons why Zergies do love their speed right at the outset. And a couple of units coming out for Taurent, but this is a pretty vulnerable mix. Especially that 1 sentry. Zerglings will love to surround and pick that off because they don't want that energy getting high for the mid-game. There's a layer going down right now for DIMAGA. The Roach Warren is nearing completion. Expansion doesn't really have too many drones mining at it yet, but the Speed Zerglings now going to begin a little bit of harassment. They can do this until that second round of Warpins, but only 3 gateways up right now for Taurent. He has not gotten his second assimilator yet. He is making the core units, the Stalkers, the Zealots. Definitely going to allow Taurent put on a little bit more pressure earlier. Generally, you see players with something like 6, 7, 8 sentries and 2 zealots. That can be a little bit dangerous for Zerg, but it's a little easier to hold off if you pop out some roaches. This is a little harder to deal with if you pop out some roaches, just because, again, they're core units. Do see some more chrono boosting on the probes going down. Taurent absolutely focusing on the long term. Second sentry out, some zealots. He should begin pushing right once the zealot ends up warping in. Wants to make sure no Zergling counterattack is going to happen, as those are very popular. It looks like the Zerglings, going to swing around and do so anyways. Here's the Spine Crawler going down for DIMAGA. A lot of drones up, and look at this burrow coming up as well as the Roach Speed, the Glial Reconstitution upgrade. That will allow him to have the most aggressive roaches known to man. And here we see 3 more gateways coming up right now. Taurent lost to Sen because of the Roach Burrow play. Will it happen again? People love 6 Warp Gate pushes against Zerg. Taurent has an amazing timing for it. But Zergs are all aware now that roaches with speed and burrow are so difficult to deal with. Here come more roaches out right now for DIMAGA. He has not yet taken his 3rd base. Does want to invest in that eventually. We do see, it looks like a little chrono boost being saved up. This will bolster that army when he can begin churning out units at an accelerated pace. Zealot popping out right now, looking around. Does appear to be not that many units out still. This is such a tense position as we see nothing but roaches coming out for DIMAGA. Again, 3 geysers, 1 at the expo, 2 in the main. Always a sign of a player who knows exactly how he wants to be managing his economy. And here comes the big push from Taurent. Oh no, the burrow finishes right on time. Small Zergling counterattack, but it's going to be a very, very large amount of damage. It looks like 1 probe already down. There is 2, 3, and 4 about to fall as well. Taurent is committing an extraordinary amount to this attack. He's moving in, going to try to pick off the Spine Crawler. DIMAGA advances forward with a big roach count. The Zerglings are just tearing apart the natural, and it looks like Taurent is going to try to get into a better position. He does the slice with the force fields, but there's just too high of a roach count. Not even that many burrowed roaches at this point in time. DIMAGA just sprinting right on forward. 94 food versus 58. DIMAGA played his opponent like a piano. I don't know exactly what that means. I meant to say read like a book, but played like a piano implies that Taurent is getting crushed. This is an awful position right now. DIMAGA with the great defense, knowing that he can now take his expansion at the bottom right. It's totally safe, unburrowing, full health roaches. Taurent can only try to win with more pressure. It looks like he has no units really gearing up to do any expanding. Look at this. Doesn't even have guys mining gas. Just lost too many probes. Trying to warp in more units, but really what can you do as Taurent? It looks like he's pulling back the slower meteor units, the force fields, and the zealots, and doing the quick little ninja assault with these stalkers. But keep in mind, with this high of a roach count, if Taurent misclicks just a little bit, he will get one-shotted on that far stalker, and there he gets one-shotted. Will he lose another one? And, he's going to be able to take a little bit of damage. There's another one-shot on the stalker. Roach is just a little bit faster than the stalkers. Such a heinous error by Taurent, who knew he needed to put a little bit more pressure on his opponent, but just quite couldn't. He just quite couldn't. It looks like DIMAGA now moving forward. Going to try to pick off some more of these stalkers. There are more units being warped in by Taurent, but he is hurting for everything. He's going to try to get the hallucination out to maybe get some sort of scout, some sort of unit to just absorb a little bit of damage. But look at this roach count. DIMAGA moving forward with a huge amount of roaches. 48 roaches already. There's an amazing set of force fields, going to delay just a little bit, but look at that bro. DIMAGA knows he just needs to count to 10. See you later, force fields, and then see you later, Taurent. Doesn't look like there's any detection in sight. 12 more roaches coming up, and there are more force fields coming up. The burrow tunneling claw upgrade almost finished. Huge damage being dealt, and it looks like everything burrows, and Taurent was accidentally on move forward, losing so many units. There's the Archon thrown down to absorb a little bit of damage, but without any detection, there is nothing that Taurent could do. DIMAGA takes a very early lead, and we do see the fact that Taurent loses the game in an almost identical fashion to how he lost it against Sen. That means DIMAGA currently